About 4 years ago on this radio program, I said that this country had to get the hell out of Afghanistan, that this was a fool's errand, and someone said Afghanistan is where empires go to die. You would think by now that those who want to be commander-in-chief would understand that this has no successful conclusion to it. This is Romney on Afghanistan. Let's play this sound cut.
Before I take a stand on a particular course of action, I want to get the input from the people who are there. General Allen is going to be coming to Washington and testifying this week about what the conditions are. I think it's very plain to see that the conditions there are not going very well.
For more on this, let's go to Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films. Great to have you with us, Robert.
Thanks, Ed.
What do you make of Romney's statement there? What other information do you think he needs?
Well, it's really tragic, Ed, and if it weren't so many lives involved, one could laugh at the fact that what Romney is really doing is an expression in Los Angeles about the film business called an empty suit. And the film business is filled with empty suits, and that's really what Romney is. There's no there. The fact, after all this time, all this money, all these lives lost, and for him to say, I won't take a stand, and then in the literally next sentence or two start saying the president, hasn't faced tough situations, doesn't have experience in tough situations. It's politics as we know it at its absolute worst, where there's nothing that stands in the way of him trying to take a position or have any moral fiber.
Romney said that he called the ongoing U.S. departure from Afghanistan a failed withdrawal. What's your response to that?
I have no idea what he means. It's a withdrawal of the troops, which should have happened long ago, as you and I have talked about over these several years consistently. It's a policy that I don't believe you can find 1 in 100,000 Americans who feels make us safer. So what is failing about it? The only failure is it's not going fast enough, perhaps, but that doesn't seem to be certainly what Ron Paul is saying, but it's not what Romney is saying.
I mean, Romney is suggesting there is a possible successful conclusion here.
Well, it is mind-boggling that he could think that. With all the evidence, with all the years, again, we must remember, we debate and we talk policy and politics. People are losing their lives every single day, Americans and Afghanis. What does he see as a possible solution? Billions and billions of dollars on a corrupt government, and it's all about invading and occupying. Now, if he wants to have a discussion, take that money and turn it into jobs and turn it into health care, turn it into education, that's a reasonable discussion. But he seems to have no idea what he's thinking about, and I'd encourage him to go to Afghanistan, spend a little time there. It's very, very hard to come back with anything but a real sense of tragedy.
Robert Greenwald with us here on the Ed Schultz Radio Show, Brave New Films. You can follow him on Twitter at Robert Greenwald, Greenwald. You've got the Koch Brothers expose coming out. Tell us about it.
Well, we've been working on investigating the Koch brothers for the last, it's been about a year, and we now have a full-length documentary, which is available. People can order it now at kochbrothersexposed.com. And we're going to be showing in the film how they really are the worst of the 1% in so many ways, Ed, and ways that people aren't aware of in terms of how they literally are causing cancer for communities where their Georgia Pacific plant is, how they've worked to resegregate schools in North Carolina, how they funded the attacks on Social Security through their think tanks, and then, of course, some of the things that people are aware of, like Wisconsin buying up politicians. But I think it's very important that people help us get the word out. We're not going to have the billions of dollars that they have, so we've taken to our form, as we've done in the past with Wal Mart or Afghanistan or Fox, and say, here it is, folks. Here we're connecting the dots. Now you take this and go to work. Do what you do in a democracy.
How involved are the Koch brothers in Senate and congressional seats?
Well, it's not, one of the brilliance of the Koch brothers, and again, I've spent a year now, and as I say, they're very, very smart in the way they fund and how they fund. But they try not to be directly involved wherever they can, and they've pursued laws and legal solutions so that their money is not always transparent or traceable. But they are funding up and down the spectrum. They'll be funding House, they'll be funding Senate, they'll be funding what's called independent expenditures, they'll be funding grassroots activists, they'll be funding Americans for Prosperity, which has been a huge force on the right wing, and they're going to do it in a concerted fashion. And the reason they're going after the Cato Institute is Cato Institute has not been towing the line the way that they want them to. Cato Institute has been a voice of reason against the war a potential war in Iran, and clearly the Koch brothers don't like that, because the candidates they're paying for are all saying bomb Iran now.
I mean, they must spend hours a day on this stuff. The Koch brothers. I mean, who's their operations manager, their political operations manager? Is this just some kind of game they're playing with a board or something?
Well, they've got, the size of the money, Ed, is so staggering, where literally it's hundreds of millions of dollars that we know about, let alone how much more there is. So you can hire a whole lot of people to think about that all day, every day, for many, many hours. And then, they're smart, and they don't just give to 30-second campaign spots at the last moment. They think and fund ideas. They figure out, how are we going to get white papers out there? How are we going to get books out there? They're funding schools. You and I talked about this, where they're literally giving schools money to hire professors only if the professors follow their ideological line. And they do that around around justices, where they have seminars and retreats for judges to come and meet with them at their semi-annual events. They've had Supreme Court justices there. So they look at the broad picture. They don't just say we've got to get this elected official in office. What they're saying is, we want to change the country. We want to change the ideology. We want to change the way it works.
Great to have you with us, Mr. Greenwald. Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films. What's the website?
KochBrothersExposed.com, and please order the DVD. Have a house party, have a screening, give it to a school or a church. We need help.
KochBrothersExposed.com. Great to have you with us, Robert. Thank you.